Welcome everyone to the February 20th, 2024 City of Broussard Council meeting. Please remember to adjust your microphones and speak clearly into them so you can be heard on our broadcast for the viewers at home. If anyone in our audience would like to make a comment on an item listed on our agenda, please fill out a blue card located in the back of the room and turn it in to our city clerk. Each speaker will be given a maximum of 3 minutes. Please rise for the pledge.
To the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome Pastor Moat from First Baptist of Broussard to lead us in our prayer.
Let's pray together. Our Heavenly Father, we come here this night to give you honor and praise and thankfulness for this community and for the leadership and for every individual citizen that's here. We thank you for our freedoms that we have as we just acknowledge in our pledge to our country. And Father, we pray that you will shine your blessings upon this nation as a whole, but also specifically on the city of Broussard and each citizen and each council member and each person that's in leadership. Father, I pray for wisdom and guidance and direction. I also pray for a unity of spirit, that even if we may have different opinions on things, that we will seek for the good of this city and for each person, and of course, for your will to be done. Lord, may your kingdom come and your will be done in Jesus' name. Amen.
Item 2.1, acceptance of the minutes of the January 23rd, 2024 meeting. Do we have a motion to accept?
I'll move.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Tina, is there public comment?
No public comment.
Council discussion?
Question?
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5,
Yes.
District 6,
Yay.
at large.
Yay.
Motion approved.
Under other business, item 3.1, recognition of the St. Cecilia Blue Jays football team. The team is coming in now. Let's give them a minute and all right, we asked the Blue Jays football team to be here tonight so we could congratulate them on a tremendous victory throughout the season and becoming state champs. So we've written a proclamation that I'll read now and then present to the team captains. The St. Cecilia Catholic School Blue Jays 7th and 8th grade football team has demonstrated exceptional skill, dedication, and sportsmanship throughout the 2023 football season, achieving an unparalleled success both on and off the field. The Blue Jays' remarkable performance includes an undefeated season, triumphing over every opponent with unwavering determination and skillful play. The defensive prowess of the Blue Jays resulted in an extraordinary achievement of holding every opponent scoreless throughout the entirety of the season, showcasing a level of defensive excellence rarely seen in youth football. The culmination of their hard work and perseverance led the team to claim the Division II championship title, thereby solidifying their legacy as champions and bringing immense pride to the St. Cecilia school community and the entire city. The coaching staff of the Blue Jays served as exemplary role models for the young men under their guidance, instilling values of integrity, leadership, and teamwork, and shaping not only the athletes, but also individuals of character and resilience. The players' parents and fans demonstrated unwavering support, passion, and enthusiasm for the team, fostering a sense of community and camaraderie that contributed significantly to the team's success. Therefore, I hereby proclaim that February 20th, 2024, as St. Cecilia Catholic School Blue Jays 7th and 8th grade football team day in the city of Broussard in honor of their accomplishment. Thank you so much. Good job, guys. So if the council would join me, we can come around and stand behind the team and take a group photo. That would be much appreciated. It's got Bill. Tilt.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, resolutions. Item 4.1, resolution number 776-24. A resolution accepting the donation of a 1984 Ford fire truck from Robert Ryan Jr. Do we have a motion to accept?
Make a motion.
Second.
Our presenter tonight is Chief Shonpine. Welcome, Chief.
Thank y'all. This is an antique truck that, still works and, we were approached to, accept the donation. We plan to use this truck for, bring it to school. It still pumps water. We can use it for let the kids, flow water. We can, we'll really just kind of use it as a parade truck and to bring it to the schools to use it as a fire prevention tool within our organization.
Chief is operational for those purposes?
Yes, it's operational for those purposes. I mean, it's it runs, the pump works, so that's the two main things.
If 1984 is antique, I'm feeling a little old, Chief.
Unfortunately, we're all getting there.
No public comment. District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
District 6.
Yay.
At large.
Yay.
District 1.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 4.2, resolution number 777-24. A resolution approving the change of speed limit on Albertsons Parkway from US Highway 90 to Highway 89, the Youngsville Highway. Do we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion. Second.
This item is on the agenda tonight we asked Bob Schmidt, who was at our last meeting, the traffic engineer that represents Broussard, while he was in town from Baton Rouge to ride and view the road, give his professional opinion on what the speed limit, what he thinks the speed limit would be, because there's been a lot of varying opinions. We've added a new red light. There were some changes on that road. There's a new intersection on that road. Bob's recommendation, based on his visit last month, was that the speed limit be a consistent 40 miles an hour from Highway 90 to Highway 89. It is the council's option to make the speed limit whatever they want. But I can share with you that that was Bob's recommendation to us.
Well, somebody had asked the question, what had happened over the years as we interconnected and signalized? We had Bernard Road. The speed limit went from anywhere from 50 to 35, and it was just that he had more trouble with that than anything else. He also agreed that 50 was a little high for in town, and that he preferred one speed limit all the way through. So this, I think, was kind of a good compromise rather than having it going up and down, up and down.
Tina, is there any public comment?
No public comment.
Council discussion and just a procedural thing. When we get a motion, we'll need a motion to include what the speed limit will be changed to. Our ordinance, our resolution that we put together leaves it to the council's opinion. Am I correct, Gerald? Okay, thank you.
We have to take another motion, or we can question? Vote, we can vote on
We
this,
can
right?
vote with that in it. District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5.
Yes.
District 6.
Yay.
At large.
Yay.
District 1.
Yes.
District 2.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Item 4.3, resolution number 778-24, a resolution accepting the donation of a 1994 Pierce pumper fire truck from Lafayette City Parish Consolidated Government. Hopefully this one's not an antique. Do we have a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Our Chief Champagne is back to give us some information on this item also.
I don't think it's a antique yet, but it is 30 years old, so it's reaching, it's almost to that point. This truck's gonna be utilized in the place of the one that is being sent off for repair. We're not sure when that truck will be back. It's been out of service since October. We're working with legal to get the truck fixed, under the warranty. So it's got a rotten frame rail, so we're working on that with legal to get that done. So we're not sure how long it's gonna be out. It's gotta go back to South Dakota, back to the factory to get repaired. So this truck will fill in this spot until we get the other one back. So that's basically what it's for.
What we do with it after we finish with it?
We have some plans to do just a static display, but we won't have to carry insurance or anything on it after that. We'll be able to do a static display at the new facility. I have some ideas on what to do with that truck without, where it doesn't cost us any money, so. I definitely don't want to pay insurance on a truck that I don't need, so.
Ron is only about 10 years old. Is that right?
It's
Or remember that
12
correct?
years old.
12
It
years
had a
old.
15-year frame warranty, and long story short is nobody wanted to cover the warranty, so Gerald's been taking care of.
Yeah, Gerald's been doing a good job of engaging with the
Correct.
companies, but we have to get through this pinch of.
Correct,
like,
yes.
you know,
It's
we
just,
short a truck
when we
right
do
now.
have another truck go down, for a minor repair, it leaves us with only 2 trucks in town. So, this will just give us a little extra cushion, to help us through that time until that truck gets back.
Ron, is that the same company that we, did the purchase for the ladder truck?
No, this is a different company. We only have one of their trucks. So this is, a separate, different company.
No public comment.
Any further council discussion?
Question?
District 4,
Yes.
District 5,
Yes.
District 6,
Yay.
District 7. I'm sorry, at large. Give me a new number, Jeff, I'm sorry. District 1? Yeah. District 2?
Yes.
District 3?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Ordinances for introduction. Item 5.1, an ordinance amending the 2023, 2024 operating budget of revenues and expenditures for $1,848,000 for the Eola Road Lift Station and Force Main upgrade. Do we have a motion to introduce?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Our presenters tonight are both Walter Como and Mr. Daniel Hutchinson to kind of talk about the scope of the job. Welcome, Daniel. If you could give the council an explanation of the project, please.
Good afternoon, council. This is the Eola lift station, that's right there in town, right down the road from our office. This lift station has, been having problems for a while. We have a DEQ loan, that's $876,000. And then the other 972 will be local funds. We're installing a new lift station. It's got suction lift pumps on it, and one of the pumps, when it starts up, it shears the bolts on it. They're not as efficient. So we're gonna leave the existing wet well, put a new lift station, and they'll be interconnected, so we'll have more storage. We're running a new 12-inch force main all the way down Eola, and it'll tie in. They'll turn down Garber Road, then go to the old sewer pond where we have that's where the discharge pipe is. I think it's a 6 right now. We're going up to a 12. And we'll take the existing building down. It'll have a generator. The generators are the same. It's going to use the same generator. And this will allow us to, Broussard Street also has problems, but we cannot address the problems at Broussard Street lift station because it flows to here until we address the Eola lift station, which all of that serves the whole part of town.
Just to add a little to what Daniel's saying, Mel and Shane Zagar at the city have identified this particular lift station as our most critical one
Yes.
to upgrade. They see it being pushed past its potential, and they were really involved with this planning.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Mayor, if you recall, when you first came into office, this money was pointed at a different lift station. And based on Public Works, Mel and Shane's recommendation, we kind of retasked it to this one. They told us the one that was most in need.
Right, this lift station is the main lift station for the old part of town. Everything else goes to this one. And it's been at capacity for quite some time, so we do need to upgrade it badly.
Be a chaining effect, this particular lift station, then Broussard Street. Just as a matter of funding, the total on this is $1,848,000. We have some headroom in a loan with DEQ, I believe. Our loan's through DEQ, low interest loan of 0.95%. And our intent is to max that loan out, which is an additional $876,000 at that low interest rate. And then we'll have to fund the additional 972 cash funding split over this particular budget year and next budget year. I'm sure the project will crest over July 1st of this year. There's a document in the packet for the council to sort of identify that, how much is the low interest loan and how much is cash funding, just for your information.
This wasn't on the capital outlay.
No, sir, not this sewer project. We have water projects that water upgrade projects, but the only sewer project we have moving on capital outlay is the one going to Old Spanish Trail,
Lake
up
Top.
182 Old Spanish Trail Industrial Park.
Yeah.
Then
And this
project's currently working.
lift station, we had actually applied for both water sector applications on it, and we didn't get any of those.
Didn't we talk about this in the past, about this?
Yeah, this one's been ongoing. We tried to get the first water sector application, the second water sector application, and then we did some other kind of funding, I think.
The funding from the federal government that we didn't receive? Correct, yeah, and this revolving loan, like Daniel and Walter said, this was allocated for another lift station, but that other lift station is not as important as this one. So we would much rather use it for, this is the main, like I said, this is the main lift station for the old part of town. Everything goes to that one and it sends it to the pond.
And we've been,
Oh, at least.
Yeah, we're trying to get
Well,
other funding.
originally, this revolving loan, we were gonna try and use it for Eola, then Broussard. Well, Eola, a lot of the cost in this one is the force main. It's a long force main, but we could not make the existing force main work. But if you heard what the mayor said, right after this one, we're gonna come with Broussard Street as soon as this one's complete. And we're kind of marching down the line on these older lift stations, going through and rehabbing or upgrading them. And it just, they're getting old and, we're starting to have some problems.
well, and the window for us to use the remainder on that loan is closing. I feel like by mid-year that it'll be closed, because it's been going on for a long time. We had it funding a project, I forget which project, but that was done long ago. And they left it open for us, but they have been in contact with us over the last 6 months saying, use it or close it. So Kristen's done a good job of working with them, extending it for us to allow the council the time to make a decision on funding this project or not.
So we have the funding, we're gonna split it over this budget cycle and the next?
Yes, Councilman, we have to fund it fully in order to bring it to bid, which is just state law. I can't release it unless the council funds it. But some of it'll be loan, and just with the length of time for the project, it will fall into budget years. Would you expect this as an 8 or 10-month project, Walter? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, it's pretty complicated because we have to keep the existing lift station in service while we build in the next one. We have a pretty small footprint. It's not gonna be a fast project, so.
Sure. And it'll take us 60 to 90 days to put it out, advertise it for public bid, get the public bids in, award it to a contractor, allow them time to mobilize and start working on it.
So we're 90 days away from starting construction. And a lot of this is gonna, one thing post-COVID we're running into is materials are not,
As readily available as
as
they
ready
used to be.
available. So sometimes we're holding projects just waiting for materials to come in, so.
So even though funding would be tonight, we won't spend all the money in this budget year.
That's correct. And what the mayor
Be a good way
said,
to say it.
state bid law says that we have to fund it before we bid it.
We already had a motion.
Question?
District 5,
Yes.
District 6,
Yay.
at large. District 1. Yes. District 2,
Yes.
District 3.
Yes.
District 4. Yes. Motion approved.
Item 5.2, ordinance number 24-792. An ordinance amending the 2023, 2024, there's a typo there that I'm calling for correction now on. 2023, 2024 operating budget of revenues and expenditures for $546,000 for renovations of the police department facility at 5801 Highway 90 East. Do we have a motion to introduce?
Make a motion.
Second.
So our architect, Mr. Brian Boudreau, is here tonight to give us an overview of what is planned in this project.
Good evening, everyone. As y'all are all aware, previous Superior office building is being converted into the new police department headquarters. We're going through, one of the major portions of renovation will be creating a new courtroom for the facility. The rest of it stems around minor upgrades and finishes, additional protection features for the entry lobbyway for the clerks. Like I said, interior finishes, new spaces to accommodate the evidence rooms, and evidence room security, and headquarters for the police station.
Now, I know you've been working very closely with Chief and Zach and Tony, Assistant Chief Ashley, on this to make sure that they're happy with the plan. And Chief, I feel like you
Are
are.
you happy?
We good. We excited to get started, hopefully soon. Everything's, yes.
So just as a clarification point, there's an item later on the agenda, which is an approval of $40,000 for the police department equipment that was introduced at the last meeting, separately from this item. This item, is the construction, must fall under the purview of a professional so he can bring it to public bid for us. But I need the council to be aware, at the very next meeting, you'll see another item for $200,000, which is for the police department. It's, help me if I'm saying it wrong, chief, but it's cameras, it's phone, it's IT, it's more of the professional, security, that kind of thing in there that is not part of this bid. So all in on those, by the time you add it all up, about $800,000 that'll be going into the police department.
That's correct. You did a good job in explaining, but that's everything that we need. The security cameras, is the, security gate in that as well?
Yes.
Yeah, so, and that's what's gonna add up to the
It's-
200, the additional.
The access controls, essentially that and the security of the building itself.
I just wanted to make the council aware of it. Wise mayors never surprise their council, and I want to make sure they see it coming.
Some of this money, we had, when we planned it, was put aside, right, from the, when we purchased the building, we still talking about, they did some work for the fire department, and we kept X amount of dollars appropriated for this. There's the Karen is here, so we're like a 1 point something, and the fire department got 800 something, and the balance was.
Oh, yeah, Karen had a number that she felt like was palatable to the city. And it was around 1.2, 1.3 million all in. Yes, but it was not funded for this project. It was just a round number she was using to give us a guide.
So we'll end up being about 1.6.
That sounds right. That does sound right.
Yeah, without the, okay, all right.
The police department did end up being a little more expensive than we originally thought. Like this 200,000 was just cameras, upgrades that they needed, access control, that kind of thing. That when we had first started with the contractor, just to try to get a ballpark figure, they weren't even considering because it's outside of the remodel.
Right. More questions?
No public comment.
Question?
District 6,
Yay.
at large.
Yay.
District 1. Yes. District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4. Yes. District 5,
Yes.
motion approved.
Thank you, Brian. Item 5.3, ordinance number 24-791. An ordinance approving the requested changes to the existing contract with Cliff Guidry for Albertsons Villas. Do we have a motion to approve, which is an approval to take it up as a public item, not, and discuss it? Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Guidry is here tonight. If you'd like to explain your request, I did do a sheet for the council in their packet to sort of explain the two items that you are requesting, Cliff. Mr.
Yeah,
Guidry.
thanks. Yeah, appreciate it. And, I do want to start off by saying thanks, Mayor, Council, for even allowing me to be on the agenda. I appreciate it. I don't take it lightly. There is some changes. There was an agreement that I signed, and I acknowledge that. And I'm looking to see about amending that agreement. The agreement as it stands mentions that the total cost of the turn-in lane be put on me 100%. And one of the things that I'll be requesting is that I pay 10%. I come up with that number because based on other areas that I develop in, the maximum I'm ever paid anywhere else was 10%. I paid as little as 10,000. I paid as little as nothing. But at any rate, I think that's fair. There was a traffic study done, and the increase traffic by percentages is somewhere between 4% and 5%. So I think I'm within reason for my request. Of course, it's up to the mayor and the council. Secondly, the certificate of occupancy in the agreement it states that the certificate of occupancy takes place after the traffic improvements are done. Unfortunately, we're moving pretty quickly on the project, fortunate and unfortunate. And we have residents, matter of fact, a couple of policemen that I met today is looking to move in April 1st when we're hoping to be open for business. The certificate of occupancy is tied to the sewer capacity, which I think that project got awarded and maybe it's underway. I saw they did some staking September 6th, just so you guys know. Our company issued a check for $125,000
That's correct.
to the city of Broussard to help with the capacity, right? We didn't pay for the whole thing. I think the whole project was about $450,000.
That's correct.
And we
Mr.
paid our
Gideon.
fair share.
It was a betterment.
A bet
to-
which I have no
right.
problem with, So that has to do with the sewer, and then the water. I know we have some concerns about tying into some water meters just because, we don't have anywhere for it to go, right? It's got to go somewhere, and we don't have anywhere for it to go, which I did email the mayor, and I mentioned that I'd be willing to pump it out at my expense, not a burden on the city. So we've done that before in other projects, so at any rate. So I stand before you just to ask for consideration. We have a traffic study that was done, and Dean Teacow has done work for the city. I don't know what capacity, but he has submitted some stuff. And when Dean Teacow did the traffic study, and we focused just on my area, I'll say my area, the projects area, the entrance, that proposal came back at 153,000. So that's kind of the number I was thinking in my mind, in all fairness. And we had a follow-up meeting, and it showed that the improvements need to be made from Morgan Avenue all the way to Santa Porres, and that number is 754,000. So that's a big difference for somebody who didn't cater for it in their project. And regardless if I cater for it or not, it's just a big difference. So here to talk about that, the difference of, is it $153,000 that needs to be, required for the traffic study, or is it the 754? Regardless of the number, still agreeing to pay 10%, right? I don't mind 10% of, 750, 75,000. At 150,000, I could pay 50% of 75,000. I'm agreeing to pay that amount. 75,000 plus the 125 sewer fee that I've paid, that's total of 200,000. I feel that's fair. That's in my opinion. But of course, I leave it up to the mayor and the council, for discussion. So I'm here to answer any questions you guys have. Come before you humble and willing to answer any question you have.
Mr. Guidry, you're a good developer and you do some really good work in Broussard, and you've been very active here. And from the city standpoint, we appreciate that. And I think there's a lot of consideration going on because of your history with the city and what you invest here. Just for clarity's sake, for the people who may not have been here at the last meeting when we talked kind of in depth about it, Mr. Guidry did sign an agreement with the city. The city asked him to provide a traffic study because there was a concern that this development may cause some ripples with the traffic there, may become a problem. Mr. Dean Teacow, who has worked for the city in years past, a very good traffic engineer, did generate a report for you. The 150, I can't substantiate that number, but in his report, and Bob Schmidt, our traffic engineer, last meeting did admit that Dean in his study was calling for a turn lane. He was saying, if you build this project, you should have a turn lane here. It's the best option. What Bob Schmidt did was come in and say, well, I don't think Dean went far enough. I'd like it to be a little longer. And when we started looking at construction, it was being sewn together by widening the roads, and an overlay on top of that made sense to make it one smooth, contiguous road. And months ago, it got me in the position after working with our team to say, well, there are some things that a logical argument could be made that Mr. Guidry shouldn't pay for. There's a minimum or there's what we'd like, right? And that got us to about the 30%, $200,000 number of the total. And it's where I got, because I think it's fair and I could substantiate an argument or people that might want to disagree with me. And that's where I ended up with it. And I still am here today. I think the city should participate because we're asking for more. It's our city. But I don't get to vote on it tonight. It's the council's decision. I just wanted to bring everybody back up to speed. But the position Mr. Guidry finds himself in tonight is that he is 100% liable for paying for this road. And the way it reads, the contract was in last packet, it may be in this packet, from Morgan Avenue to St. DePorres. And if the council, I'm sure he is urging the council to take some level of action because he is wanting to open up at least 50 or so of the apartments by April 1st. And right now, my hands are tied by the contract, his hands are tied by the contract, and he's looking for some level of relief with the occupancy and a final decision on the road, if that's fair enough to say.
That's correct.
The one thing I'd like to add to that is I know there's been things in other cities, you mentioned that, where $10,000 you've been asked to pay. The difference for Broussard is Broussard does not collect a property tax. You took a piece of farmland and turned it into what it is, what it is today, an apartment, a condo complex. Other cities have the benefit of receiving income year after year by that kind of upgrade. That income, we hope, offsets the new strain on police, fire, and public works because, of course, the city has to service on that level. And that's what, not always good, but it's the position Broussard finds itself in. So I'm just making that point, but.
Yeah, and people do, they reference commercial and residential, and they say commercial, that's where the sales tax comes from, right? Well, they're correct and they're incorrect, because the sales tax comes from that business, right? Fees owes, whoever that is. But who's there actually paying the sales tax for that meal? It's the citizen, right? And it's the visitor. And who, when you build a subdivision, whenever they buy that vehicle, where does that sales tax go? Goes to the city of Broussard. That's that citizen again. When you get voted in, you guys are up here for a reason. Who votes for you, the business or the citizen? It's the citizen. So I just want to draw that reference. I'm a bigger residential developer than I am a commercial developer. So I have to plead my case, not only for me in this situation, but for other developers that come behind me. So I just want to be treated fair, right? Meaning that, I'm not saying y'all not treat me fair. I'm just saying, look at a residential developer as you would a commercial developer, because we're both bringing something to the community.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's always, in my opinion, better to have home ownership versus rental, but
Correct.
you build a good product. There's no doubt about that. We did have a meeting with another rental neighborhood just last week, and they asked for a meeting. I met with them with the team, and the ask is similar. Interest rates are up. Things are more expensive to build now than they were. How can you help me? And they had a list of ideas that I was able to disagree with pretty quickly. But what's important is we're trying, there should be compromise, right? Because everybody's trying to do the right thing and the healthy thing for the city. But I've given my opinions for what they were, but the council makes this decision tonight. So I will certainly let them have all the microphone time that they require.
Sure.
I'll go ahead. I did prepare a statement for this evening. After I received the agenda of tonight's meeting, I did some research. I reached out to Dean Tickell, and I just wanted an overview of the traffic study that he conducted. And like Mr. Guidry had stated that, and I provided a handout to all of the council tonight and the mayor, but like Mr. Guidry had stated, that the overview in the peak AM and the peak PM hours, if you look at it, there's between a 4 and 5% increase in traffic flow. So no more than 5%. I took it a step further and I went down a mile or so down Albertson Parkway, the 100 block, the 400 block of Albertson Parkway. There's 3 subdivisions that exist there: Mojardin, Jordan Estates, and Southfield. All 3 of these developments have ingress and egress on Albertsons Parkway. Mojardin has 2 entrances, 2 exits onto Albertsons Parkway, no other way in or out. Jordan Estates only has 1, Southfield only has 1. So within this half-mile section on Albertson Parkway, there are over 266 homes that I was able to count using the tax assessor's map they all pour onto Albertson Parkway in that half a mile distance. And yet there's no turning lane there. And I don't know of any issues. I don't know of any problems that we've had in this location. So I guess a precedent has been set on this, that same speed limit, same city, or same road, and more homes than what you're proposing. So I'm not a traffic engineer, don't claim to be one, but I think we need to exercise some common sense here. I feel that there may be no need for a turning lane at this development, but should the city deem it necessary that we do add a turning lane, I would like to propose some amendments to the existing contract. So my motion personally would be, it's twofold. The first amendment to the contract is that the developer is responsible for 10% of the total infrastructure costs of the turning lane project. This 10% is to be held in escrow, or the city is to receive a letter of credit from the developer's bank of choice. However, this 10% contribution is only to be used if the city decides to construct the turning lane by December 31st, 2025. This would give ample time for the development to fill up, give us ample time to monitor the traffic. And if we decide to build by December 31st, 2025, then we would take the 10%. Should we not build it by December 31st, 2025, the 10% would be returned to the developer. And then the second amendment would be that the certificates of occupancy would be granted upon completion of each unit and shall not be held up based on completion of the turning lane on Albertson Parkway. So that would be my motion, which kind of in line with what we already have in the packet, but I just want to make a couple caveats to that. That's it.
Councilman, just one question on the occupancy based on turn lane. What's your opinion on sewer capacity? Because today we have none.
Well, I'm not too up to speed on that. I know that like he just stated, he did give the 125,000 September 6th, and yet we sit here, I don't know, 5-6 months later, and I don't know if any work's been done on the upgrade or the betterment.
It did go to public bid, but we did have a delay of about 90 days because Mr. Guidry had to make payment to the city. And as soon as we got it, council funded. When we got that payment, it went to public bid. It's with the contractor now, so
And
it's
that, and
in
that was
his
the
hands.
September 6th, right? September 6th when they issued the check. Yeah.
Yes, so as immediately after that, the city was able to move forward because we had full funding.
Yeah.
And it's where it lies with the contractor now. I mean, Walter may be able to report on exactly where they are.
Yeah, kind of what you said was exactly right. We were not able to bid it till we were funded. I just mentioned that earlier.
Sure.
That's state bid law. We can't bid a project till it's funded. Under the contract that Mr. Guidry signed, we didn't have funding till he brought us the money. Then we go through 30 days of bidding, then another, 60 days of contract documents. And right now, I think the contract has been released. He's ordered materials. Okay, so he's mobilizing now, but that's a very typical trajectory for a project.
Sure. Now, and Mr. Gitter and I have met and we have formulated a plan with Mel, but what you suggest, Councilman, just goes a little further. That's why I'm questioning about Mr. Guidry. About 50 units was your first target. We had Travis, your engineer, and Mel look at flows. We could handle it at the existing lift station. You would just have to pump it there.
Yeah.
We have no problem with that. It exists, but it seems to get us to the max when we do that. So that's where our level of comfort is. If it becomes 100 before the new sewer zone, we might have a problem.
Right,
And that's the concern.
And Mayor, on that particular issue, if that's what they are planning to do, they have to get an LDH permit for that. We can't allow that until there's an LDH permit for it, which is the way it is.
So can it be pumped out in the meantime until it's hooked up to the existing system? I don't know. I'm asking.
If LDH allows it.
Yeah,
that's the
okay.
thing.
I got you. Because
Where it was pumped out once a week or so, but there was a container to capture. It wasn't just in line. There's not much capacity.
Correct. Yeah, if you recall, when IPT Global was done, that's what was done. They had a container on site
Yeah.
and they would pump it out as needed.
Okay. Yeah, Travis, I don't know about the DHH permit, but Travis did mention it costs about 17,000 to run it, hook it up to the meter and run the lines to the existing
You
unit.
definitely have to have an LDH permit.
Yeah.
And Travis and I spoke about it.
yeah.
Okay, y'all did?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So Travis,
I-
Travis.
Is there a time frame? Cause I don't know. Is there a certain time frame normally for that?
No, that shouldn't, you
It
should
should
have.
hit by
you should-
April?
You should have a permit way before you have your pump on.
Okay, thanks. I didn't know, Ray.
But
I didn't know.
from my end of it, I don't have any problems with that, as long as it's safe, it's permitted, and it's working well.
Thank you.
Pump and sewer or getting it to our nearest lift station while this was being ready. We have a plan, it's being bid, it just, I understand the timing's not working for you, but
It's okay.
that's fine. We just can't blow it up, right? But
Sure.
we have capacity limits.
Agree.
Sounds like we need a lot of fire under the people that's doing the sewer.
How long do we think it's gonna take?
I'm saying 90 days to do this Eola deal, we just awarded y'all $2 million to do a project, and then we got a guy that gave money in September. We in February, y'all gonna tell me it's gonna take that much longer? We need to get moving,
Right.
because he done funded it. We done funded it after he gave us the money. So we are September, October, November, December, January, we're in February, it's 5 months. And then we tell him we can do something in 90 days with Eola, so I think we need to see where we at. I think we're dragging our feet, in my opinion.
So Mayor, to answer your question, I mean, I was specifically addressing the amendment to the contract as it relates to holding up the certificate of occupancy until the road infrastructure was complete. So I'd like to amend it to state that whatever certificates of occupancy that the city is comfortable in releasing due to the sewage, that be the only contingency that's holding up the certificates of occupancy, not the contingency of the completion of the.
Okay, I think that would clarify it. It would allow us to release those certificates
Thank
until we reach the point, if we ever do, where we can't handle the capacity.
Yeah, 'cause
Thank you.
I mean, in my opinion, the sewer and the water is on his private land, whereas the road is a public road. So I just wanted to not make it contingent on that improvement.
So Gerald, can you help me with the point of order? Councilman Reagan has made two suggestions. Are they to be taken up separately or together? Voted on separately or together?
I think each of the motions should be taken up separately.
Okay, so we have a motion by Councilman Reagan, basically, where Mr. Guidry would be liable for 10% of the road if the city determines that it's necessary to build it, which I think we do, because we have our traffic engineer is agreeable with DTCAL. But regardless, and then he describes a path and a timeline of 2025 and et cetera.
I think that the motion that's made, as I understood it, and I was making some notes, is that the 10% liability will kick in if the city decides to build it. Once the city makes a decision.
That's what I understood also.
To go forth with the project. And that the 10% will either be funded by cash to be held in escrow, or alternatively by bank letter of credit, presumably in a form approved by the city, so that the letter of credit is.
Just to verify, it'll be a check. That way it's easier. You don't have to worry about letter credit.
Either way, so that's my understanding, and that the deadline for the city to make a decision to move forward with the turn lane is December 31, 2025.
That is correct.
So that is the motion on the table. Do we have any other comment from the council?
Well, I just didn't want it to be in perpetuity. Let's say that all the units open up and we find, just as we find down the road with 266 homes, that there's no issue. So we may find that we want to fund other things down the road. So I don't want 10 years from now to come back and say, hey, we want to claw back our 10%. So I think that a year and a half, once he's fully occupied, that's going to give us ample time to see what kind of traffic flow we have, see if we have any accidents, any issues. And then we can make a decision as a council to fund the turning lane, and we can claw back that 10% there. I know as a developer, I wouldn't want something lingering out there in perpetuity.
Sitting out there at 10%, not knowing what we're gonna do, if we're gonna build it or not, that's a kick in the bucket for me, 10%. $20 million.
Skin in the game.
Real thin, compared to the rest of the cost of the project, or what he's gonna make.
If I could ask, I think we ought to clarify, first of all, what we're talking about in terms of a turn lane. There's been discussion of a turn lane from St. DePorres to Morgan, which is what the city's engineer had talked about. as opposed to a turn lane for a shorter period of time. Shorter area is what I understood that Mr. Teagle had raised. So for clarification, in the motion, I think we need to, when we're talking about a turn lane, and we're talking about the turn lane that the city's engineer has recommended.
Yes, correct. From Morgan to St. Deportes.
Yes.
That's correct. The full one.
I just want-
And those prices ain't gonna be the same in 25 as they are.
We're still 10% on what the project
It's still
costs.
10. Are you comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Reagan. Gerald, you want to restate it for us as you
Let me
understand?
do it as I understand it, because we'll put it in, we'll have to put it in the ordinance. The motion, as I understand it, is that the contract be amended, and that the obligation of the developer under the contract as amended will be to be responsible for 10% of the cost of the turn lane from St. Deportes to Morgan, those limits, or whatever portion is actually constructed, that the money to be deposited or letter of credit will be held, if it's cash, it'll be held in escrow. If it's a letter of credit, it will not expire prior to December 31, 2025. And that'll be the deadline for the city to make a decision whether or not to construct a turn lane. If no decision is made by December 31, 2025, or if a decision is made not to construct the turn lane, the escrow, the cash held in escrow, if cash is given, will be returned, or if there's a letter of credit, it will be returned.
Precisely correct.
What's that?
Correct.
Yep, okay.
Gerald, can I amend the motion?
You certainly can.
I'd like to amend 50% versus the 10% down. My reasoning for this is if we're gonna have, I say, if we're gonna do it this way, I think we should go half and half. That way, we both got equal skin in the game on this. And simply because of the fact that we don't get the property tax as some other cities do. And that's just my feelings on it. So.
I'd just like to respond, if you don't mind. As we mentioned, I understand the 50-50, and if I put 50% cars, my cars, and y'all have 50% cars, right? The current citizens, I would understand and respect that. We're adding 4% cars, and I'm paying double for maintenance of the road. So that's just my opinion, right? It's only my opinion.
And I think to Councilman Bonan, I don't think the prices will be the same, if whether we wait a year, in the situation. So, it's,
He would, whatever the cost is at the current time, if we choose to do it, he would pay 10%. So if it's over, he pays more.
That's correct.
The rest of the deal. So if it's $850,000 deal, he needs to come up with 10 grand.
10%.
Let me make 10% of the cost of the project at the time of doing it, if we decide to do it. Just a point of order, Councilman Reagan made a motion. There was no second. I think we need to determine whether there's a second to his motion first. And then Councilman Forbes offered an amendment to the motion, and that would have to be considered after. So I think the first thing is based on the motion made by Councilman Reagan to determine whether there's a second. to
So
that.
do we have a second on Councilman Reagan's motion?
I'll second.
Now we have a motion by Councilman Forbes to amend to,
Change the percentage from 10 to 50, and that's now open for discussion and consideration.
and you would need a second, we would need a second on that motion as
Second
well.
on that.
Do we have a second on that motion? Not hearing a second, that motion fails.
Yes.
Motion dies.
Make another motion. I'll go for, the city putting up 30% of the job instead of 50%.
The city put 30 or the city putting?
30%.
That-
Instead of 50-50, the city will put 30, he'll put 70.
Okay.
That's what my motion.
So we have a new amendment to the motion on the floor. City's financial burden 30%, and 70% to, Mr. Guidry. Do we have a second? Not hearing a second, the motion fails.
My question is, we're gonna go back and forth about, this percentage, that percentage. I mean, why can't we go back to the original agreement? And put it, amend it to, if the turning lane is needed, then he 100% funds it, what is needed, not from Morgan to St. DePorres. Where and why did that get stretched even further? If it's based on what the city wants for upgrade, then yeah, we should pay, something more towards it. But I mean, if we're gonna sit here and hypothetical, if we need it, then just say if we need it, and if we do, then go back to the original agreement. Cause I don't think any of us are gonna agree with a certain percentage.
That
The
does
rate
deem,
we're
that
going.
does deem an interesting question. What determines if we need it? Like what matrix would be measured to determine if it is needed before 20? And I can't answer that question. I'm not sure
But that's what's. one
if
of the
that's been
goals.
thought.
To me, less than 5% of an impact doesn't warrant a whole turning lane as of right now. But I understand what he's saying by, once all these residents do get there, if we do have another traffic study, there could be issues with accidents and more traffic, but as of right now, we don't have the proof of that.
Yeah, just to put you guys at ease, right now there, and I mentioned this before, maybe at the previous meeting discussion, we have about 80 people working right now. And the cars that are going in and out of there with the lumber companies and the flooring companies and all that, I mean, there's so many cars, you guys can see it. And people are getting in and out now. I'm not saying that's not an issue. I don't know what the traffic study, what requires it to trigger, a turning lane and this and so forth. All I'm saying is we have a lot of people there working right now. Knock on wood, we haven't had any accidents that I know of. And it's working okay. And you're not gonna have 80 cars at one time when you got 154 residents leaving at one time. It's working okay, but again, I'm
How many units?
154,
Ms. Guidry, how many square feet per unit?
875, two bedroom, two bath.
875. So I'm going to go back to just using some common sense here. I know it's not very common in the public sector, but if we're looking at 875 square feet, you're looking at a maximum of 2 people that are going to live in that home.
Correct.
Now, we're looking at the subdivisions that I just mentioned, Montjardin, Jordan Estates, and Southfield. We're looking at 2,000 square foot homes. Our own ordinances state that we have to have parking for 4. So we're looking at families. We're looking at teenagers driving. We're looking at mother-in-laws that are driving. So we're looking at 155 units multiplied times 2. We're at 300 plus, 310, cars at max. And yet we're over 1,000 cars right down the road. And yet we don't have a turning lane and we don't have any issues. So I'm just going back to common sense. And Angel, you had mentioned, why don't we go back to the original contract?
If needed, like you say, give it till December 31 of 25, and then we can reassess. And if so, then why not go back to the original agreement of the smaller turning lane? Because I'm not sure where we got off track where.
Well,
And I understand this, our traffic engineer said from Morgan to St. DePorres, piping in ditches or doing whatever, but like, why? That's what I'm not understanding.
yeah, and I can attest to that. I'm just looking at, the study that I was able to, get a copy of and looking at the increase in traffic flow. I just don't feel that it's going to warrant a turning lane. If it does, I mean, if we're looking at 5% increase and he pays 10%, he's paying more than his share. Whether we shrink it back down or if we expand it, I think that only time will tell. But I think that was just the fairest option that I come up with was the 10%.
So now is there a motion? I don't even know where we're at right now. I don't even know where we're at right now. Is there a motion? Is that what you said, Gerald?
You have a motion and you have a second to the motion, and that motion is the only motion before the council now, and it's until discussion is closed.
ordinance be offered or someone call?
Question.
At large,
Yay.
District 1,
We're voting on the 10% now, and then from Morgan to, no.
District 2,
Oh.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5,
Yes.
District 6,
Yay.
motion approved.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Guidry will be amending the contract as soon as we can. Gerald will help us through that, the paperwork on that.
Do we need to do another, or that's it? That's
Oh,
everything?
I'm sorry. There is a second item. I completely forgot about that. Which would just have to do with allowing Mr. Guidry at his own expense to get his sewer pumped out or to our closest lift station in at the limit of what we can handle until the permanent lift station is substantially completed and he can use that one.
Okay.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
You need to clarify?
Yeah, I'd like, just so that we're clear on this,
He's gonna clarify.
when we talked about to the limit, is that something to be determined by Public Works?
Yes, and,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. ma'am.
yeah, and we have gotten with Travis and
Thank you.
Travis is clear on.
Yes, thank you.
Somebody call for the question.
Question.
District 1,
Yes.
District 2,
No.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5,
Yes.
District 6,
Yay.
at large,
Yay.
motion approved.
Thank you very much.
Gerald, we'll be in touch. Gerald will help me with the amendment to the contract. Ordinances for adoption. Item 6.1, ordinance number 24-789, an ordinance amending the 2023-2024 operating budget of revenues and expenditures to increase the authorized expenditures for the purchase of police equipment. This item was introduced at our last meeting. It's the $40,000. We had a list of equipment on the last agenda, but we need a final vote to release, to be able to spend the money. And there's a long lead time on these items, which is why it was ahead of the other items.
Make a motion.
Second.
Do we have public comment, Tina, before that motion?
No public comment.
We have a motion and a second.
District 2,
Yes.
District 3,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
District 5,
Yes.
District 6,
Yay.
at large, District 1,
Yes.
motion approved.
That is the last item on our agenda tonight. Thank you all for being here tonight, and please drive safely. Meeting adjourned.